I do not fall in any of these categories. All the categories you have mentioned, I have mentioned, I don't fall into them. I do not just love those that love me. All of you are devoted to me. Because you are devoted to me, I am not going to compliment and acknowledge your devotion in an overflowing manner, exceptional manner, saying this, saying that. No. I am not going to show you extra love also for you. But what is the reason? But I intend that I want to make your fondness grow stronger, deeper and more wholesome. Naham tu sakyaha bhajataha api jantun bhajamya amisham anuvritti vrittaye. Their love and fondness and intimacy to me should grow deeper and deeper. The selfish part of it should disappear and it should become selfless. They should become more and more pure, more and more gentle, more and more wholesome. And there must be a spiritual growth, a wholesome growth in them. Thinking in this manner, I don't suddenly go and reciprocate and compliment to them. Yatha adhano labdhadhane vinashte. See, a man had a treasure, some wealth. He has lost it. At one stroke, he lost everything. So he will constantly be thinking about how to get back his wealth. Oh, I missed it, I missed it, I missed it. That feeling of having missed will be constantly pestering him. So he will think of the wealth that is lost. In the same manner, tat chintaya anyat nibhruto naveda. I want these people to be constantly thinking of me so that all other thoughts, all other distractions will vanish. And this itself will grow in ample and abundant measure. With that intention, I don't reciprocate or rush back to. Naham tu sakhyo bhajato bijantun bhajamya amisham anuvritti vrittaye yatha adhano labdhadhane vinashte tachchintayanyan bhruto naveda evam madardhojhidaloga veda swanam hivo mai anuvrittaye abalaha maya paroksham bhajata tirohitam masuyitum marhatha tatpriyam priya. While the Rasalila was on, after some time, Krishna suddenly disappeared. When he disappeared, there was so much of a lightning reaction in all the others. Where did he go? They started on a search for him. They could not find him anywhere. And finally he appeared. When he appeared, they were overwhelmingly happy. At the same time, they had a lot of wrath and resentment. It was at that time that they entered into a conversation and the Gopikas were asking this question and he was answering. So he was saying, Evam madartho jhida loka veda swanam hivo mai anuvrittaye abalaha. I agree. I understand. I also acknowledge in my mind the fact that you have broken a number of scriptural, familial, societal and other disciplines and procedures in order to pursue your fondness for me. How much of indifference you have. The scriptures give a number of codes of conduct. We also have some family disciplines. There are social and societal restraints. All these are fetters in the mind. You have simply thrown away, broken away from all of them. It is not an easy job at all. So in seeking my fondness, pursuing your fondness for me, this is a very great step. When I played the flute, all of you simply exited and ran to my presence. Who in this world will be able to do it? Even ascetics may not be able to do. Staunch seekers of truth may not be able to do this all at one stroke. It was all actually your greatness, the power of your mind, the power of your devotion, the exclusiveness that you have been able to put into the whole pursuit. I appreciate all this. Nevertheless, I remained away, only to find out how you are behaving. I wanted to intensify your conduct, your pursuit, your thought of fondness for me. Because I have done all this only to strengthen your pursuit, you should excuse me. Do not cast aspersions on me. Marhata tat priyam priyaha. It is all my sound nature. I have the best of intentions in my mind. Whenever I speak to you, I deal with you. In everything you will find a very great elevating touch. So do not have any complaint. Foster no grief or complaint towards me on this account. So far as your role is concerned, you know, this is what I have to say. Naparayeham niravadya samyujam swasadhu krityam vibudhayusha bivaha Yama abhajan durjarageha shrinkhala samvrishya tadva pratiyadu sadhuna. This kind of an overpowering devotion that you have towards your Krishna is something unseen, unheard of. I will not be able to repay you. Even with countless Deva years, I will not be able to repay whatever you feel towards me. You have broken all kinds of fetters. Swasadhu krityam vibudhayusha vaha yama abhajan durjara greha shrinkalaha. Durjara greha shrinkalaha. A householder has a number of chains around him. What all did you do? The suckling children you left. The boiling milk you left. The hearth and home you left. You are feeding your own husbands, them also left. Who can do all these things? Unless your mind is overfired with devotion, the like of which nobody has seen, nobody has heard of also. Unless you are able to do it, it cannot be done. So you are adoring me. You are coming to me. It is not a simple task. It requires a lot of renunciation, a lot of intensity. An overwhelming note is there everywhere. Yama abhajan durjarageha shrinkhala samvrishya tadvaha pratiyadu sadhuna. It is extremely exceptional. Perhaps a model that can never be copied by anybody. So great and so exclusive it is. I can only say, let this exclusive conduct of yours be itself your reward. Have you understood what I said? This kind of an exclusiveness of your pursuit, by virtue of which it has become unparalleled, let the prevalence of it, continuation of it, that itself be the reward for you. This is what I say. Naparayeham niravadya samyujam. It is unthinkable, impossible for me to pay back whatever you are owing to me. I will not be able to. This is what he says. Swasadhu krityam vibudhayusha bivaha. Not to speak of human years, by many divine years I will not be able to pay you back. So this kind of a compliment he was giving to them. Now you will find, though Krishna's life is human to begin with, you will find there are many extra dimensions. We are all speaking about love. Love. What is this love? And what is the type of love Krishna had? Whenever you have love for anybody in this world, maybe your children, maybe your married partner, your father, your friend, always apply one yardstick. Whatever you do, whatever you think, and whatever you speak, ask this one question: is it to his or her welfare? I will not budge an inch. Only when it conduces to that person's welfare, I will do it. I will never say or demand anything. I want this, therefore you do. It should never be said. I always say, love is to be deserved. Don't demand it, deserve it. And this applies wherever you are. Within the house also, your conduct and behavior should be such that people love you. They want to serve you. You cannot say, order, serve, why did you fail? This kind of an attitude is not right. Krishna never asked anybody to love him. People started loving him from all around. And he was only responding to whatever they did, whatever they asked for. These Kumaris performed the Katyayani Puja, not at the persuasion of Krishna. When they were performing and asking and praying before Katyayani, get Krishna as my husband, naturally he was living close by. So he responded to it and he accepted them. And he fulfilled his wish. Abhishtadoham, Abhishtadoham. And what did he do? It was not just one thing, one person. He invited all of them. And all of them were taken together and in the moonlit sky. And no complaint was raised from the whole of Vrindavan at any point of time. So this kind of a statement is there. You know, this is one part of Sreemad Bhagavatam and Krishna's life. This was when he was young. He is growing. And you will find all the youthful exploits are going to follow. And what all did he do? Many things he did. Coming to know that Narakasura was an unyielding person, he went there. He defeated him and liberated all the 16,000 captives, girls there. And they all said, you should marry him. Krishna said, okay. Send them in palanquins, arranged a muhurta and married them. 16,000 Krishnas were there to marry 16,000 women. And everybody has a Krishna by her side. Everyone had. So this is meant by Abhishtadoham. Now, after completing the whole narration, Vedavyasa and Shukamuni have this to say. What do they have to say? Vikrididam vrajavadhubhiridam cha vishnoh shraddhanvito nushrunuyat atha varnayedhyah bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam hridrogama ashvapahinothyajirena dhiraha vikrididam vrajavadhubhiridam cha vishnoh shraddhanvito anushrunuyat atha varnayedyah bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam hridrogama ashvapahinothyajirena dhiraha. Dhiraha, the intelligent person, the wise person. When he does any one of these, you will find his mind will be free of all desires, including passion. Vikrididam vrajavadhubhiridam cha vishnoh. Whatever I have discussed, whatever Srimad Bhagavata has portrayed, whatever Vedavyasa has written, and whatever Shukamuni is narrating to Parikshit, and whatever this Swamiji of yours is telling you now in the form of telecast series, understand, Vishnoho vrajavadhubhihi vikrididam idam. It is Lord Mahavishnu himself, incarnate as Krishna. He is having a sportful time. A kind of a sportful event is described here. Vrajavadhubhihi, with the women of the Vraja settlement. Now, whoever is able to read it, understand it, speak about it, explain it to the others. Shraddhanvito anushrunuyat atha varnayedhyah. Either he reads it or he comes to listen to the narration with all shraddha, faith, devotion, piety and religious fervor. Varnayedhyah. Whoever is able to describe or explain it in whatever manner, maybe colorfully or otherwise. Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam. Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya. He will attain to the supreme excellent devotion to the Lord. Pratilabhya kamam hridrogam. Now, what is the hindrance to bhakti? Desire for other things. We are suffering basically from 3 psycho-intellectual traits. What are they? Desire. Desire for anything, either in this world or the other world. Passion is only one selected expression of desire, sexual passion. But there are so many other desires also. Any desire for anything in this world or the other world like heaven, Brahmaloka, etc. That desire is one constraint that we have. Another is possessiveness, mamata. The third is ego. I am the doer, I am the cause. Now these are the 3. So he says, Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam hridrogam ashu apahinoti achirena dhiraha. This is actually a roga, a disease in your heart, of your heart. So kama, namely particularly sexual passion, a disease of your heart, as soon as possible he gets rid of it. Apahinoti ajirena dhiraha. It will not take long. Now, this is what the whole narration is meant for. So Sreemad Bhagavata discusses so many things. I am actually speaking on the 11th skandha of Sreemad Bhagavatam, which is supposed to be extremely philosophical. Only branching off from one statement. What is that? Dheyam sada paribhavagnam abhishtadoham. Karabhajana's words, one of the 9 yogis. I am taking that abhishtadoha, how God becomes the fulfiller of all your desires. He will leave none. Suppose there is a desire haunting your heart. Until it is got rid of or it is fulfilled, how can you ever have peace? And it is the task of God to see that it is so done. So whatever it may be, He makes no distinction. But you should have that wholesome, unadulterated devotion, the devotional fondness to the Lord. Then you will have this. So what are the statements made here? Shraddhanvido anushrunuyat atha varnayedya. You may hear this narration, or you may yourself describe it, either in the form of written literature, or in the form of spoken words, a lecture or an enunciation. If you are able to do it, you will find your devotion grows in abundant measure, and passion and prejudice of your mind and heart, they will completely dwindle and become extinct. Vikredidam vrajavadhubhiridam cha vishno shraddhanvido anushrunuyat atha varnayedya bhaktim param bhagavati pradilabhya kamam hrudrogamashvabhinothyajirena dhiraha. The Phalashruti is given here. Seemingly at first sight, this is all an adventure in romance. We call it amorous sports. And that too in a very untimely period of the day. Can you imagine? Whatever is said to be very private in nature, here everything is made open and public. And what all transpired there? How many dialogues are there? How much of enunciation is there? How much of special discussions are there? And what all things Sri Krishna is revealing. When it is a question of love, He has something to say philosophically about it. When it is a question of romance, He has something very specially to do about it. And He says that you are free to have passion towards me, but because it is towards me, I am going to be the subject or the object of it. I will direct it, purify it, elevate it, and fulfill it in my manner. So this kind of a command and mastery over Himself, dexterity that you cannot think of, this is what Krishna represents and embodies at every point of time. So it is not a description of romance. It is, on the other hand, getting into the inner personality of the human and trying to invoke and evoke from there deeper, finer, and most beautiful responses. All these are the discussions here. Ultimately, it leads to a wonderful meditation. When we speak of Sadhyo Mukti, different types of liberation are there. One is Jivan Mukti, another is Videha Mukti. Now, there is something called Sadhyo Mukti. What is that Sadhyo Mukti? This is what some of the women in the Vraja group had. When the members of the house prevented them, their mind could not stop. Mind was not stopped. So as I told you, it started galloping even with greater speed, velocity. Ultimately what happened? They fell. The mind fled and merged with Krishna. This is called Sadhya, instant liberation. That is also described there. It is actually a philosophical subject. It is a philosophical concept. We sometimes hear, what is this Sadhyo Mukti? What is this Sadhyo Mukti? Sadhyo Mukti is a direct and an immediate result of the intensity of the mind's yearning for liberation. Now, a seeker yearns for liberation. So far as the women of the Vraja settlement are concerned, their yearning was not for liberation, the impersonal. Their yearning was for Krishna, the personal, who was an embodiment of liberation. I don't find any difference between the two. You may make a formful God as the focus for your worship. You may also contemplate upon a formless presence for your purpose. There are some people who are interested in a formless contemplation, But by and large, the majority are still running after a formful contemplation. So you have to look at it in this light. There are altogether 5 chapters in the 10th skandha of Sreemad Bhagavatam, where Krishna's life, advent, and also growth, exploits and excellences, all of them are described. Now from chapter 29 to 33, altogether 5 chapters, these are called Rasa Panchadhyayi, 5 chapters. You know, these 5 chapters are there. The way devotional people, spiritual people, philosophical people look at the Rasa Panchadhyayi, a combination of 5 chapters is, you go on reading it, enjoying it, rejoicing in it, getting more and more attuned to it. Initially, you may take the romantic and other things there. Later on, you will go into the subtleties of the whole discussion. And our attention will be focused on whatever Krishna spoke, whatever he did, and whatever he enunciated. The great truths, psychological truths, intellectual truths, philosophical facts, the spiritual ecstasy, all these things are finding ample place in the description. Your mind will be concentrated and focused on them. And you will find, from the emotional mind, you rise yourselves to the wisdom level. Ultimately, you will understand what Krishna represents and what the Vraja women Gopikas represent, what is meant by a merger of the two. All these will be beautifully known. So, reading of these chapters, listening to their content, discussing it, describing it if you can in your own manner, maybe for your own purpose, you start writing on it after reading, you will find that the mind is getting more and more devotional, more and more pure, sublime and serene, and it will take away all the impurities from your mind and you can attain liberation and salvation. Passion particularly will be completely dissipated. It will be completely exterminated, wiped off from your system. This is the benefit. When I was going to Vrindavan in the company of a number of devotees, towards the end, some of the people got into the vehicles and they wanted to conduct us. And I heard one of the conductors say, see, Vrindavan, this is a place even now, lofty and exclusive devotees come and they witness Rasa Leela, they said. So our idea of Rasa Leela is entirely different from anything like a romantic episode. It is certainly not. We look at it as a divine interaction between the Jiva and the Supreme Soul, the mind and the soul. This is the way we look at it. So I thought I would tell you this in connection with that Abhishtadoham description. These women, they had some kind of a fondness for Krishna. They had some aspirations also. How Krishna fulfills even those in order to fulfill his role as Abhishtadoha. This is what I wanted to convey. Now, I am not leaving the subject. We will go and discuss something more. This is an occasion for me to tell you something about some of the interesting and very, very profound sections of Srimad Bhagavatam.